Hello, welcome back. So on today's edition, I'm going to be teaching how to make this beautiful gown. So guys, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do well to do so, and also give this video a thumbs up so that other people can see it. Thank you. So these are the materials I'll be using for this tutorial. I used 2 years of Ankara. So the Ankara is going to be on fold, and the next thing you're going to be doing is to input your horizontal measurement, that's from your shoulder to your nipple and under bust, as well as your waistline. So what I did, my client's own was 17, but I added half of an inch for extra allowance. So after getting your horizontal measurement, you're going to be marking your nipple to nipple measurement at that part. So your nipple to nipple measurement will be divided by 2. So I got my client's on and I'm marking it at that place, as you can see me doing. So after that, I'm going to mark my neck width. The neck width I'm going to be using is the neck width of 3.5 inch. Then the shoulder of my client divided by 2. My client's shoulder is 16 divided by 2 is 8, so I'm going to add extra half inch allowance for my seam. So after that, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, as you can see me doing, because the shoulder is not straight, it's a bit slanty. So after that, I went ahead to mark my neck depth. The neck depth I'm going to be using for this tutorial is the neck depth of 3 inches. So I'm going to be connecting it. You can choose to use your curve rule or your freehand sketch to connect it, like so. So the next thing you're going to be doing is to get your armhole depth. How to get your armhole depth to be your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So I got my client's on and I marked it at that part. That part is going to serve as our new chest line. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to divide the armhole depth into 2. So I'm going to mark it at that part. So now what we're going to be doing is to go to that bust line measurement. We're going to be inputting our round bust measurement divided by 4. So after marking it, you're going to extend it up to the chest. So now you go to that armhole point that is there, as you can see. You're going to come in by half of an inch. So we're going to connect those 3 points that I pointed. You can choose to use your curve rule or your freehand sketch as well. Now at that waistline, we're going to be coming in by 1.5 of an inch at that point, and then we're going to mark half of an inch the other side. We'll come to the underbust and do the same thing as well. So we're going to connect it on a straight line, as you can see me doing. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to move over to our nipple part. We're going to come down by 1 inch at that part, and then I'm going to be connecting it to that 1.5 and half of an inch, as you can see me doing. So that is going to serve as our bust curve. Then after that, we're going to connect the point of the midpoint of that hole to the bust point. That's half inch above the bust point. Then you're going to come in by 1 inch at that part. So we're going to come in by 1 inch and reconnect it back to that point, as you can see me doing. So now after that, you're going to be marking that same 1 inch that you're going to cut out there, because if you didn't do so, it's going to be shortened. The upper part is going to be shorter than the bustier part. So just do well to do so, exactly what I did, so you won't run short of it. So the next thing we're going to be doing is to input our body measurements, plus extra inch allowance. I added 2.5 inch allowance at this place, and then at the waistline I'm going to be getting my waist circumference divided by 2, and then I'm going to replace that inches that I'm going to cut out there at that side. So I replaced it by 2 inch, and then I added my 2.5 inch allowance, seaming allowance. So I place my tape on my shoulder. I am going to be marking 6.5 inch, because that place is we're going to cut it out, and then net is going to be replaced instead of the ankara. So as you can see me doing, look at what I did. Don't worry, I'm going to be showing you guys how I cut it so that you won't get confused while making yours. The only thing you're going to be doing when you're done sewing the clothes out in terms of that armhole depth is just to trim it a bit after sewing. Then after cutting the front, we're going to cut out the net for the upper part. Remember, the upper part is going to be replaced by net. So as you're cutting it, make sure you add your allowance at both the shoulder part and also at the down part, so that you won't run short of fabric when after sewing. So when you are done cutting for this place, next thing we're going to do is to move over to the back. We're going to be placing the measurement, the horizontal measurement that we did in the front, that the shoulder to the underbust to the waistline. So the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark my zipper allowance. Remember, the back has the zip, so it's going to contain zipper allowance as you are marking. So now the next thing I went ahead to do was to mark my nipple to nipple measurement. Remember, you're going to be marking your nipple to nipple measurement at that line that we draw. So I went to the neck. I marked neck width of 3.5 and neck depth of 5 inch. So I'm going to connect it in a curvy way. You can choose to use your curve rule or your freehand sketch depending on the one you prefer. So the next thing I did was to get my client's shoulder. Remember, the first one we did was 16 divided by 2 plus half of an inch. So, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch. So I'm going to connect it to my shoulder. So remember, the neck depth will be your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5, just like we did in the front. So I'm going to be getting the midpoint of that, as you can see. So I'm going to be marking the midpoint. In the front, we came in by half of an inch, but we're not going to be doing so at the back. So now we're going to be marking our round bust measurement. So this round bust measurement, we're going to extend it up to that new chest line, so that will be easier for us to connect our curve. So as you can see, I went ahead and connected the back curve. So now we'll move over to the half length part. We're going to be marking half of an inch there, and then moving over to the bust point, we're going to be coming up by half of an inch. So at that half of an inch we're going to mark in, we're now going to connect the points of the half inch above, as you can see me doing. I don't know if you understand what I explained, but just look at what I'm doing so you will not get confused. So we're now going to connect that midpoint all the way down, as you can see. So now the next thing I did was to impute my body measurement. Remember to replace your that outtake and then add your seam allowance. Then after that, I went over to the back. Remember the back, to avoid the bulgy zip at the back, you're going to come in by 1 inch. So at that, in between the bust line and the under bust line, and then we're going to connect it like this. As you can see, it's going to help tighten the back so that it avoid bulginess at the back. So after that, what you're going to be doing next is to mark 1/2 inch at that half length. Remember the back is a bit shorter than the front, so what I used to do is, after that, I'm going to be marking 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut out that 1/2 inch at the back so that the back will be a bit shorter than the front. Then after that, we're going to be folding our Ankara on a fold to get the down bodice. So we're going to be doing -17. That is the 17 of my client's half length. So I'm going to be marking the full length. The full length of my client's the full length of my client is 36. So I'm going to be marking 36, and then after that, I'm going to be adding extra 4-inch allowance for seaming allowance. Although yeah, my seaming allowance is a bit bigger, the reason being that I'm going to be cutting lining for it so that I'll be able to drag it up. Don't worry, I'll explain everything in the video. So then after that, you're going to be marking your hip line. I went ahead and marked my client's hip line. So we are going to be imputing the body measurement, the round body measurement, waist divided by 4 plus 1 inch for the dart, and also 2.5 inch for the seam allowance. And then you do the same thing at the hip. Round hip divided by 4, we're marking it, and then we're going to be marking 2.5. So we're going to extend the line of the hip all the way down to the end. So after that, you're going to cut it out. Then you are going to fold another fabric on for the back piece, but the only difference from the front and the back is just the zip allowance. Make sure you leave your line for your zip allowance, then you trace it as you can see me doing, and then cut it out. So here I'll be explaining what I said earlier. You're going to fold the fabric at that junction of 4 inch that you took. So when you fold it and minus your half length of your client, you'll be getting the 36 of your client's length. So now how many lining you're going to be using is to place your tape 1 inch at the end and then at that part. So I'm going to be drawing out 15-inch lining for it, so that when I sew it and drag it up, it's going to like round off to my client's full length. So as you can see, I'm done stitching my fabric. What we are going to be doing is to come at the waistline. As you can see, I'm going to be marking 8.5 inch on the both side. I'm going to mark it on the other side as well. Then after that, what you're going to be doing is to mark from the midpoint of your waist as you can see me doing. We're going to mark 1/12 inch there. Make sure that what you're marking is at your midpoint. So then after that, we're going to now connect that 1/2 inch, 8.5 inch the other side, and 8.5 inch the other side. So you're going to be doing this thing both in the front and at the back piece. Then after that, you're going to measure round those shocky plates that we made. So you're going to measure it all the way round the body measurements from the front to the back. So I measured mine. I got my client's own 40, because we are going to be doing gathers, so we're going to be doing 40 times 6 to get the length. While the width of the net, I did 15-inch. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead with to my machine to put the net, as you can see. So guys, I think this is the end of the tutorial. Please give this video a thumbs up if it's helpful. Subscribe, comment, and also share to your friends that you think this tutorial will be needful. So for the sleeve of this tutorial, I already made a video on how to draft a sleeve that looks like this before, so I'm going to be dropping the link on my description box so that it can direct you to that side. Thank you. So bye, and see you in my next video. Have a lovely day, lovely night, depending on when you're watching this video. Bye.